I know. Y'all saw the thumbnail and you're like, this dude can't be serious that he's talking about trading for a running back when we're so deep at the position. But I am. And you're here, so let's have fun with it. And we're going to discuss why depth doesn't always mean production, and why if there's a good running back available on the trade market for the Kansas City Chiefs, they should explore it. But before we do dive into that, please be sure to subscribe to the channel and like this video, as I'm going to keep you up to date on anything Kansas City Chief related that you do not want to miss out on. And without further ado, let's have fun with this. Now, I'm well aware that this video is going to be a topic for discussion, because when you talk about trading for someone or free agency or anything like a point of need for the Kansas City Chiefs, most people won't focus on the running back room. Me, on the other hand, I will. And let's talk about this so-called depth on this roster. Now, we have seen the lights of a Clyde Edwards-Helaire perform well in camp. Isaiah Pacheco, we know that hype train is crazy. Jerick McKinnon, and then the guys who start sliding off in a Derek Gore and a Rojo. Let's go one by one with it. So yeah, CEH, he does look better in camp. But now that we have 2 preseason games under our belt, I know it's a small sample size, and I know maybe KC's not showing their full hand, but CEH kind of looks like CEH in games, and that's very unfortunate. Like, I've seen some tapes where he struggles to find the holes, or he's just not breaking that first initial contact. As much as I'm hoping for CEH to have a bounce back year and prove he is worth a first round draft pick, if it so happens that he struggles and he doesn't pan out to be the guy, that's going to put Kansas City in a tough position. We all know when Kansas City tends to fall in games or abandons the run game, their offense can struggle. And honestly, if you look at it, I'm going to skip Isaiah Pacheco here, but if you look at it in camp or even in games, let's focus on the preseason games at hand right now. Our best back is Jerick McKinnon, who's been performing in the preseason games. And that's not saying much or anything at all. And no slight to Jerick McKinnon whatsoever, because he proved last year that he is a valuable starter, definitely a good replacement starter if someone gets injured. But again, he's over 30 years old. He is injury prone and tends to get injured, so he's not someone you can trust throughout 16 games. And I don't think he's someone you could trust with the workload. So it's like, do you really want that to be the best guy on the roster moving forward, specifically when you're trying to bounce back and win a Super Bowl? I don't think so, but who knows? Now I'm going to focus on the hype train guy who everyone loves, including myself, because I'm not going to exclude myself because that makes me seem like, oh, he's switching sides and things like that. No, I'm still on it and everything like that, but we kind of need to pump it down a little bit, because he hasn't really done too much in these preseason games. Has he shown promise and potential? Of course, yeah, he has. But we also got to remember, he's a 7th round draft pick for a reason, and we are all crazy to think that he's just going to come onto the scene and be a 1,000-yard rusher this season. Now, could he potentially? Yeah, of course. But even Jamal Charles, when he first came in, he came in the same route as Isaiah Pacheco, where he was mostly focused on special teams. He was the kick returner, and then he earned his running back role. Well, he did earn it, but Larry Johnson, of course, messed up too, but that's neither here nor there, because he became one of the all-time greats for Kansas City. Isaiah Pacheco is basically taking that same route. And honestly, it's a huge accomplishment for Isaiah Pacheco to make the roster, being a 7th round pick, and also being the starting kick returner too. Now we're trying to throw a lot of them saying, hey, be our starting running back. Oh, he's going to be our starting running back by week 6. We kind of need to pump the brakes a little bit on this hype train, because we're putting too much on the kid. Will he be good? Yes. Will he produce this year? Yes. Will he have packages and make good plays? Yes. Will he be 2,000-yard running back, which is what everyone seems like he's going to be? No, not in his rookie year, maybe not ever, but he will produce in this league, just not right now. So let's have a little fun. Let's dive into this list. And when I mean dive into this list, I'm not talking about adding another depth guy like another Rojo or another Derek Gore. For example, Kenyon Drake was released today. I'm not talking about that. What I am talking about is good trade candidates to where it actually changes this running game. Because let's be real, Kansas City has a top 5 O-line when it comes to blocking for the run. How come we can't run the ball? You tell me. It's got to be the running game. I don't know if people will also pitch too is Reed does the way he schemes and doesn't focus on the run enough. You could say that too, but when they run the ball, they are successful. But sometimes when you see how some of these runners run behind this line, it's like, this could have been a way bigger gain. We should be way more successful with this line. So I'm focusing on guys who can literally change the game for the Kansas City Chiefs in the run game. And I'm going to kill a lot of dreams right now because I'm also going to kill another pipe dream too, and that's Kareem Hunt. Yes, I would love it if he still came to KC, but we got to be realistic here. That is long gone. I don't think it's ever going to happen, but if it does, I'm all for it. I just got to cut that out right in this video because I know a lot of people will jump in the comments like, how come you didn't mention Kareem Hunt? He's a trade candidate. He'd be great in KC again. Yeah, we're not doing that. We're going to focus on guys, I'm going to say realistic, but again, it might not be realistic because I'm making this all up on the top of my head right now. I thought this would be a fun video. I don't even know if any of these guys are trade candidates. Some of these guys are in the doghouse, so could be, but let's have fun with it. First guy we're going to be diving into, we actually played his team last week, and it is Antonio Gibson. Who knows how he got into the doghouse? If it is literally just because of his fumbling issues, that is like saying a lot. It's got to be way more than that, but you could tell the Commanders don't value what Antonio Gibson brings to this team. As we saw last week, like he had reps with the twos and not even frequently that many too. If KC can somehow, some way trade a 4th round pick, maybe a 4th or 5th for Antonio Gibson, you're on that in a heartbeat, and he instantly upgrades this running back room, and KC becomes like a stellar running game with him. I really believe that. One, he brings pass catching to the Kansas City Chiefs, and he's a solid, powerful runner with a burst. And we saw last year with Antonio Gibson, even though it was inconsistent, and even though he did have his fumbling issues, and he can correct those too, he knows how to find a hole, and it's not like that dancing behind the line that Clyde Edwards-Helaire can tend to do, or any other back that we have seen in the prior past after Kareem Hunt. We want someone who can actually step in, actually be a 1,000-yard rusher, and someone we can depend on. And if Antonio Gibson can correct his fumbling issues, which I don't know, I'm not in camp with him, I'm not telling him how to hold the football or how to perfect his technique, but let's say he can be a top 10 running back in this league. And if Kansas City can get him for a 4th or 5th round pick, don't tell me you wouldn't be all over that, because that's crazy to think. I think he would upgrade this running game in an instant. Now, this next guy I want to mention is coming off a huge injury at the end of last year, but he has been cleared to play. He has been practicing, but also too, it looks like he could be taking a rotating role with the Jacksonville Jaguars or be second string, and that is no other than James Robinson. It seems like the Jacksonville Jaguars are all in on Travis Etienne, and I don't blame him. He has good chemistry with Trevor Lawrence. He's, I think, I don't want to say better back, but he brings a different dynamic than James Robinson does, and he's more explosive, and I think he fits their offense perfectly on what Doug Peterson wants to do. But if James Robinson is available and you can get him for a 4th or 5th round pick, he becomes the best running back on the Kansas City Chiefs roster, if healthy, of course. But last year too, I don't want to say he was in the doghouse because it seems like everyone was in Urban Meyer's doghouse, but it was definitely a down year. But towards the end of the season, we started seeing the old James Robinson come to form, and it's not even old because he's very young in this league. But when I mean like that, it's like beginning of last year, it just wasn't there, but also Urban Meyer wasn't letting him be there. So once he started like basically kicking the tires and actually running, you could see, oh, this kid still has it. I know because I picked him up in fantasy at the end of the year, and he almost helped me with a great playoff push. So, and then if he can translate it in a Kansas City system, which I think he brings kind of the same dynamic as an Antonio Gibson, not too much, but he's a power. He looks like a bowling ball when he runs too, and he actually can translate into the passing game too. And I think those are two big things you got to look for in any back if Kansas City was the trade: is how do they run behind a good solid line, and are they a good pass catching back to where if Mahomes has to scramble, if something breaks down, will they be dependable? And I think he is. And I just think the biggest question mark is, how is he coming off of this torn Achilles? Now, I want to say it's a torn Achilles. I know I always get it confused. It's either a torn ACL or torn Achilles. Either one's very huge injury that is hard to come back from, especially for a running back. But if he's cleared to play, if Jacksonville is really all in on Travis Etienne, hey, Doug Peterson, hook up with your old buddy Andy Reid. Let's make a deal. Let's get James Robinson to KC, and let's make him his #1 running back in KC. Now, you want to talk about someone who's in the doghouse. This is a guy who's probably stuck in the doghouse, and I don't even know why either, but it's ever since Nick Sirianni became the coach, he doesn't value Miles Sanders the way he should be valued. And a lot of people aren't mentioning Miles Sanders in trade discussions, but could you imagine Miles Sanders on the Kansas City Chiefs? He is a very elusive, very explosive back, and if you want to talk about someone who can find a hole and burst and also is very, very helpful in the passing game, it's no other than Miles Sanders too. And you can't say that he doesn't have fresh legs because the Eagles don't run him the way they should. And I think, again, this would be another one you might be able to trade a 5th-round pick for, and he will bolster Kansas City's running game automatically. He would definitely be the number 1 moving forward, and I think it takes Kansas City's run game to the next level. I think it brings, again, I don't really want to say it like that, but it's something that's stuck in my head. He brings an explosion and elusiveness that a Jamal Charles brought to the offense. I'm not comparing them, so don't roast me there, but what I am saying is Kansas City hasn't had anyone like that in the backfield for a long, long time. And it's something they have been searching for. Even like with the Kareem Hunt after that too. I think Miles Sanders brings a different kind of shiftiness and elusiveness than Hunt does. Hunt was basically like, come on, try to tackle me. And he would run over 3 guys. And then Hunt was a very, very good pass catcher too. And he still is. I'm acting like he ain't in the league no more. He is. But I just think it's 2 different dynamics from both players. And I think Sanders would be so much fun to watch in this offense. And you can't tell me that you wouldn't trade for him and basically have him bolster this running game. Last year, of course, it was a down year. And the year before, too. It's like they're not focusing on him. And it's like you hear Miles Sanders talk, too, where he's like, don't draft me in fantasy football because I'm not doing shit this year. Like, you could, like, haha, that could be jokes. Or it could be serious, too, because he really might not. It seems like he doesn't want to be in Philly. So, come join Coach Reed. He left Philly, and he turned it off for the best, too. Let's come to KC and have fun with it. Now you want to talk about a pipe dream, a smoke dream, a long shot. This definitely won't happen, but, hey, none of these things probably will happen. We out here having fun talking about running backs, so I'm going to take the longest of long shots, and it just clicked my head, and I was like, shit, they might as well. Like, they drafted a running back this year in the 2nd round. Supposedly the best running back in the draft this year. Send Michael Carter our way. Imagine that young running back, that dynamic running back in Michael Carter behind our offensive line. He looked good throughout the training camp. I'm slipping up. He hasn't even played in training camp or preseason yet. But I'm stumbling on my words. Let me correct this. Last year, regular season, there we go. Like, for a rookie, definitely on a struggling Jets team, and their O-line's not the best too, he was one of their bright spots too. And then, I don't know, now, I'm trying to wrap my head around it a lot. It's because I know where Robert Saleh comes from, and I know it's from the 49ers, and I know he's probably trying to implement what the Niners do, where the Niners rotate, 900 backs at a time. You never know who's going to be the best running back on the team, and maybe that's what he's trying to do too. But that's like such a huge insult, I think, to Michael Carter, who you drafted last year, who was your starting running back, and he could still be their starting running back. But when you draft a guy like Breece Hall too, it's like, okay, like, he's very solid. He could be your starter too. If not, that's what potentially will happen. So why would you waste one guy or another and just hold them like back of their full potential? Now, I know we all think that too, which I was going to do this, but I know that there's no chance in hell it's going to happen. It's just like the Aaron Jones and A.J. Dillon situation. I was going to be like, hey, bring A.J. Dillon KC's way. Could you imagine that? That would have been a really fun one. I didn't go that far because I know there's definitely no chance in hell there. Like, there's no chance in hell with this one, but I'll give it a 0.00001. So that means it had to make the list. And I think with how young Michael Carter is, with the potential he's shown last year, definitely with a terrible Jets team, and if you put him on a good team like KC, Mahomes will love him, Andy Reid will love him in this offense. I'm just saying, think about it. It would be fun. He would be the one I would trade for like a 3rd round pick. Now, you can't value running backs way too high, so I would never trade a 2, or definitely not a 1. But if you trade a 3, and definitely if KC's back in the playoffs, which we all expect, and going towards the Super Bowl, that means it's an end of the late 3. So you're basically giving up a 4. Shit, go get Michael Carter. Let's have fun with it. Let's bolster this run game. Let's be a great running team, a great passing team, a great complete team, to where we can make a great Super Bowl run again and where everyone would fear us. But with that, Chiefs Kingdom, let me know in the comments down below. I know it should be fun how you view this list. If you view Kansas City should go after running back, I know a lot of y'all don't, but like I mentioned, depth don't always equal production. You could have the depth like KC tends to do, but they end up being one of the worst run games in the league, definitely when they have one of the best run lines. Make it make sense. Let's talk about it down below. Before I do check out though, please be sure to subscribe to the channel, like this video, and I'm going to check in with y'all next time.